a while ago. That's how long it's lagging.
Yeah.
There you are. And I will start it. Hopefully it'll start. Might take a second, just a minute. Oh, no.
Are we good?
Excellent.
I know. Welcome, everyone, to the April 26, 2025 Town of Rush Planning Board meeting. The one thing, and I always ask everybody, is if you're making comments or a presentation, please approach the mic as you're able. If not, we can try and get a mic out to you. But if there's anybody on Zoom, it helps so that they can hear better over that system and also for recording. So I'm gonna open with minutes from March 25th, 2025. Are there any comments?
I'm gonna do roll call real quick.
Oh, I knew I forgot something.
It's okay. That's all right. Member Moise?
It's not on my list.
I know, it's open, it's in the opening. Deputy Chairman Ast,
Here.
Member Wolcott,
Here.
Member Wisnowski,
Here.
and Chairperson Brown.
I'm here
Okay.
and awake.
Okay.
Okay, now I'll go on to the minutes. Does anybody have any comments to the minutes for March 25th, 2025?
Just had a clarification. I read the minutes. It said I wasn't there for the roll call, but it didn't say when I am at the meeting.
Oh, okay,
So just,
okay. I can go back actually and look on YouTube, so,
okay.
yeah, I
And,
can update
you know,
that.
it wasn't clear. I don't know if it needed to be that I was, on Zoom as opposed to being present in the room.
Oh, yeah, I did put that under Zoom that you were.
At the top,
on
yeah.
Zoom. Yeah, okay.
Just, that's all. No other comments.
I'll take a look.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll second that.
Great. Member Moise?
Aye.
Deputy Chairman Ast?
Aye.
Member Wolcott?
Aye.
Member Wisnowski? And Chairperson Brown.
Aye. So are we all set?
Yep.
So tonight we're gonna carry on with our public hearings that were tabled last month. We're gonna start with hearing 2025 2P Afghan Empowerment and Development of Rochester Special Permit 45 High Tech Drive. We did, I guess the first thing I have to ask is, were there any other comments that came in during that time period?
Just the Monroe.
Just the Monroe County, yeah, Planning and Development response packet.
So we received from Monroe County, the Department of Planning and Development, their response to our special permit, and there were no outstanding items. And this will be filed with the record. Correct?
Correct.
From our last meeting, we also have our letter from the Board of Fire Commissioners about the use for the special permit in use for administrative offices, small scale educational and community meeting space, 5 to 10 staff volunteers consistently on site with no more than 55 individuals on site at one time. After review of the above application, the Board of Fire Commissioners has no issues with the written plan. We also have from the Town Conservation Board that I believe I read this last time, but I'll follow through with it again.
Yeah, I can't
Okay, so the Conservation Board, per their resolution number 5 on the Afghan empowerment of Rochester, on motion of Deputy Chairwoman Leaderman, second by Member Woolever, the following resolution was approved as ayes 4, nays 0. Resolved, the application was reviewed by the board and they approved the project with the following questions, comments. We have concerns as to whether the septic system is adequate for large events, and if not, what provisions would be in place. Question 9, in the environmental assessment form, applicant indicates the project does not meet the energy code requirements. I believe we discussed that. And did we address the septic system?
For the Afghan project, I mean, it's subject to, it can certainly be conditioned upon subject to inspection to ensure that it has adequate ventilation. I think that was the same thing with energy code.
Right.
Conditioned upon inspection to ensure that, you know, the electrical system and the vision.
So we can add those 2 conditions to the. All right. And I believe we read through MRB's comments. And those were with respect to the permit appears to be in compliance with 120-69 of the Town Rush Code governing special permits. The second comment was the board may want to consider requiring the permit holder to notify the town court and code enforcement officer at least 30 days prior to holding an event that will exceed the typical 55 that will generally be on site. So just in case there's a larger event planned. Are there any other comments to be made?
I have a few more questions.
Okay,
When time's right.
well, I've gone through all those.
Okay. There's someone here that can answer some of these questions.
Hi, Anthony Scalia, Dawson Law Firm for the applicant.
I guess before we get in, I just want a little bit of my background. So I come from a place where I know, I have relatives, I have friends that have done humanitarian efforts in many foreign countries, including Kenya, Uganda, Niger, Kazakhstan, Nepal. And then I work with people from India, work for people from Brazil, Spain. So, Ecuador, Colombia. So I have a good background. I understand the plight of, that this is the situation. for that. But my question is, I did not find a website for the Afghan Empowerment and Development Group. I found one in Oregon, I found one in Vancouver. So is there one for Rochester?
I don't believe that they have enough yet.
Okay. I found several articles dating back to December 2021 through August 2021, talking about the different groups that were involved. News 10 article was expecting 50 more people. The Saints Place was a help for the refugees. In the governor's website from September 16th, 2021, 200 were expected to be for the designated for Rochester area. And then I did find a website for Keeping Our Promise, which is affiliated, I believe. It's a program for wartime allies resettlement program. You're familiar with that?
I'm not.
Okay. So this is just trying to find that information. So Rochester First also had an article in August 25th of 2021 describing agencies that were working with the refugees. City of Rochester and their Office of Financial Empowerment. There's Women for Afghan Women, WAW, Catholic Family Center, Catholic Charities, Saints Place. So these are all groups that are partnered and are working with the groups. And I guess my question is, how many of the people that we're talking about that would be served by this group actually live in Rush?
I believe that question was asked last time with regard to where these people are coming from, and that's not set. It's a local organization for local members. It's not a refugee resettlement organization. It is more of an organization for the community of Afghans. So it's not made for the express purpose of resettling refugees or taking in members from, far and wide. I don't
Okay.
believe there's any affiliation with those organizations as a refugee resettlement organization, merely a community development organization to help the local community.
All right. So from a planning perspective, I was looking at this. I understand, to be helpful, it would be it's a great thing. However, from a planning perspective, how many groups, who are you partnering with in Rush as far as groups that would help out in this? What are their current arrangements?
I'm not sure I understand the question. Help out in what way?
Well, that's part, a lot of what I was reading was partnering with these different groups and being able to help out. So I was just wondering if they talk about, developing, businesses and training employment opportunities. And I'm just wondering how many employment opportunities do we have in Rush? That's going to be part of this group. What's the vision for the group as far as?
Well, as far as the overall vision, we explained it in the application. It's helping the community in more ways than simply job training. It's not a refugee resettlement. It is a community group that covers really all aspects of what the community may need to integrate into, the local Rochester and Rush area.
The reason I'm asking is that it doesn't seem to be a lot of opportunities for business opportunities here, as well as housing opportunities. So from a planning perspective, I question whether it really is the best spot for this group.
Well, with respect, I don't know why that would preclude this from being a good spot. They're still able to, support the community because they may not have a lot of employment opportunities in Rush proper. I don't know that they do or somehow makes it less impactful or makes this area less appropriate for them.
Because we're not on a bus route. So there's no public transportation available for that. And part of what I also read was, driver's license, they were helping that out. Maybe that's just part of the resettlement and refugee aspect that we're not talking about. So I was just, from a planning perspective, it didn't make any sense to me how this site was selected, because it seems like most of the support is in the city or in Henrietta, along bus route, in more populated areas. And that's, Pittsford and city of Rochester. Those are places that really do have more support for the community. And so that's my question is it really a good spot, a good place for
So
this type of thing?
Sure. I guess my response is that may well be, perhaps you're correct, and perhaps because it's not on a bus route, or it's not close to city proper organizations, that somehow that will make it harder for them to achieve what they're trying to achieve. But I guess I would say they have, vetted different spots, they have looked at different areas, and they are choosing this area. They believe that they will be able to achieve their mission and their vision here. And I suppose if you're correct, they wouldn't last very long, because they wouldn't have the numbers or the community to support what they're doing. And
Right, in the commercial area, I mean, we don't have
yep, understood.
grocery stores
But-
so it is a little bit of a disadvantage, for the group to be here when better support services are available, within, north of here. So that's my question is, is it really serving the Afghan community by being located here? The best place to locate. So that's why I was asking these questions.
Understood. Maybe it's not the best place, but this is the place that they were able to identify and enter into a contract to purchase. And what they are planning to do in the location is well within the rules set out by the local zoning laws. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, just like anybody else that comes in and tries something in good faith. And hopefully it does.
Okay.
But I don't see any negative impact on the community
Well,
if it fails to work.
the other aspect of this is I did not, like I said, I was looking for the website, looking for goals, responsibilities, what the and the goals are very vague. And I was just going to make sure that it is a benefit to the town of Rush, a benefit to the United States of America, a benefit to Monroe County. And so just would just like to that we're not establishing another cultural aspect that does not want to assimilate into Rush as far as our customs and our beliefs, and that they're separate issues. So I don't want, I'm looking at, is there a possibility for conflict or anything like that? So that's why I'm questioning, and just want to make sure that we have that relationship. And if that's the goal, is to become part of Rush, become part of our community. And and what are the values of Rush, of the values of the people in Rush. So that's my concern. So I'm just questioning and just asking, is this the best spot? That's all.
Understood.
Okay. That's all I have.
Well, I would just like to put out there that Rush is an open community that's welcoming of people, and that if they selected this area to have a spot where they can grow in America and support that other people that have come to this country, I think that's a good thing. Any other comments? Thank you. There's no one else on. Nope. Okay. So at this time, I can close the public hearing.
Well, technically, the public hearing was closed on the 3rd. I think we kept it open until the 3rd for written comment, so.
So the public hearing was closed based on comments up until the 3rd. April 3rd.
Yep.
Now, I think based on some of the comments, we have a couple conditions that we were going to put into the resolution. Kevin,
Working on that right now, so, we want the applicant to comply, I wanna make sure I've got how you want the verbiage. So we want the applicant to comply with, any requirements of building inspector regarding, the proposed energy consumption of the property.
mhm,
And then the applicant shall comply with, any requirements, of the building inspector regarding to the adequacy of the septic system, based on proposed use of the property. Then,
correct.
were there any other specific items?
I think one that we mentioned last time, and I don't know if everybody else agrees, but we want to make sure that there are no overnight
Occupancy.
occupancy.
Anything else anybody wanted conditioned?
If you want to add the condition for, notification of large events.
Larger than, say, the 55.
Their application, they state on average 55 people. If they're anticipating an event in excess of, you can set a number, but in excess of 55, 60, or just generically, if they anticipate a large or one-off event, they notify the town 30 days in advance. So the town's aware of it. In case
Who at the town do they notify?
correct condition be the code enforcement.
Okay. So we should add that.
Okay.
on there.
So notification of the town code enforcement officer at least 30 days in advance of a large event, planned large event of the property. Do we want to define what large event is?
I think based on what they're saying that their normal event would be around 55, so any more than 55 people. And then I think there was one item that was brought up by the owner of the development with respect to maintaining the property,
Building.
like the building and grounds.
Well, that's.
Or would
it's-
that fall under-
That's a condition that every property owner has within the town. I don't think
Okay.
there should be a specific condition because by being a property owner, they're subject to our
Our
code. So
code.
for maintenance, if they're not keeping the property up, there's.
I know, I was just,
No,
okay, I know, redundant.
I mean, I can certainly add it.
No, that's all right. I'm just echoing things that were brought, that I remember were brought up last. Kevin, I'll have you read those ones. So now. I'm going to read through the resolution for a special permit. Whereas the planning board of the town of Rush, the planning board has examined application 2025 2P for a special permit submitted by Dawson Law Firm PC on behalf of the Afghan Empowerment and Development Community of Rochester Corporation, the applicant, the tenant of the real property located at 45 High Tech Drive, Rush, New York, tax map number 202.01-1-28, the property, to use the property for administrative offices and educational meeting event space. And whereas the planning board has examined the application maps and other materials filed with the application together with reports and comments from the town's professional staff, the public and other interested and involved agencies associated with the application. And whereas a public hearing on the application was held on March 5th, 2025, and continued until April 3rd, 2025 for receipt of written comments. And notice was posted as required by law. And whereas all persons at the hearing desiring to speak on the matter were heard, all correspondence on the matter was read, and all comments and statements that were received during the public hearing and/or at other duly held meetings of the planning board were considered by the planning board. And now there be resolved that the planning board has determined that it is the most appropriate agency for making the determination of significance thereon under seeker, and is therefore the appropriate lead agency to conduct an environmental review of the action. The planning board determines that it is a type 2 action under seeker, requiring no further action or a determination of significance by the planning board. Be it further resolved that upon consideration by the planning board of the factors set forth under section 120-69D of the town zoning law, and planning board grants a special permit for the operation of administrative offices and educational meeting event space related to the applicant's non-for-profit organization on the property based on the following findings. 1, the proposed use of the property for administrative offices and educational meeting event will support the applicant's not-for-profit community, cultural and religious use of the property is desirable and will contribute to the general well-being of the community. 2, the granting of the special permit and the operation of administrative offices and educational meeting event space at the property will not endanger public health, safety, or general welfare of the community. 3, the proposed or operation of administrative offices and educational meeting event space at the property is in harmony and with the probable future development of the neighborhood and will not discourage the appropriate development or use of the adjacent land and buildings or impair the value thereof. 4, no work is to commence until the applicant obtains a building permit from the town of Rush. 5, the applicant must meet all applicable town building, construction, and fire prevention requirements. 6, the applicant shall obtain all necessary local, state, and federal permits and approvals required for the project. The applicant shall meet all the requirements of the town engineer as indicated in the town engineer's letters dated March 18th, 2025. The applicant shall meet all applicable conditions in the Monroe County Development Planning and Development Letter dated March 27th. Is that supposed to be 2025?
I'm sorry, I was, sorry.
Yes,
Yeah, it's with the,
right here, 2029.
yes, 2025, sorry.
That's okay. And then Kevin, you want to read the additional conditions, please?
Yes, the applicant shall comply with the requirements of the building inspector with respect to the proposed energy consumption of the, based on the proposed use of the property. The applicant shall comply with the requirements of the building inspector with respect to the adequacy of the septic system servicing the property based on the proposed use. There shall be no overnight occupancy at the property. And the applicant shall notify the town building inspector at least 30 days in advance of any gathering consisting of more than 55 individuals.
That should be code enforcement, not building
Code.
inspector.
Gotcha. Applicant shall notify the town code enforcement officer at least 30 days in advance of any gathering consisting of more than 55 individuals.
Thank you.
That was the last one. That's what you're adding.
Do I have a motion for the resolution?
Motion to approve the resolution. I will make a motion to approve the resolution. I'll second it.
All right, Member Moise.
Aye.
Deputy Chairman Ast.
I just, so I really don't have no problem with the people. I welcome the people to the, but I think this is an administrative issue. And I disagree with the location that you've chosen from an administrative point of view, so I say no.
Member Wolcott.
Aye.
Member Wisnowski.
Aye.
Chairperson Brown.
Aye.
Okay.
Resolution for a special permit has been accepted with the conditions
And I,
as noted.
and I will mail that out to all of the, parties.
Can I ask just a quick point of clarification, so I make sure I understand the conditions? Yep. So all those conditions sounds like they're conditions, the permit is received and they just have to follow those things now that they have the permit, right? There's
Correct.
no more,
Right,
there's no conditional actions they have to take before getting the permit.
correct.
No.
That's
all I
all.
wanted
You
to
have the
make sure.
permit conditioned upon you set, making sure that you
To keep it.
continue to satisfy
Understood.
those. conditions.
Thanks.
So yeah, no, I know. I was just trying to find my. Let me borrow this thing. I don't know what I did with mine. So now we're going to go to the next hearing that was. And I don't see anybody.
That was tabled, yeah. Don't know.
Well, I guess we go through it though, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is for 2025 3P Costitch Engineering for Nancy Hughes lot line alterations, 1215 Telephone Road. Tax map number 201.03-1-11.1. We received the Monroe County Development.
Yes, we did.
Yep, no. And I'm just looking. The Monroe County Development. I do not see. I'll read through the Monroe County Development comments. Applicants are encouraged to contact other county departments and non-county agencies to ensure all permitting requirements for this property have been satisfied. Maps are submitted to real property for final filing, and there is a fee schedule associated with this. Real property reviews the maps and brings them to the clerk's office for filing. Maps may be submitted any working weekday from 8 to 5 at Monroe County Surveyor Office, 39 West Main Street, room 304J. And their contact information. Before filing, the maps need to be reviewed and approved by the Village Town Planning Board, County Health Department, County Surveyor, County DOT if on a county road, and County Treasurer has to check for paid taxes and sign as well. Article 25 AA of New York State Ag and Markets Law titled Agricultural District provides counties with the opportunity to create agricultural districts for the purpose of protecting and promoting the agricultural industry. This project occurs in Monroe County's Eastern Agricultural District. According to our review of recent aerial photographs and the agricultural district maps, the project occurs on or within 500 feet of land in agricultural production in Monroe County's Eastern Agricultural District. Therefore, an agricultural data statement has been submitted for this project as required in section 283A of Town Law and Article 25 AA of the New York State Agriculture and Markets Law. A Monroe County agricultural data statement from form can be found at www.monroecounty.gov files planning farm agricultural data statement. If an agricultural data statement form is necessary, the clerk of the board should mail a written notice of the application to the owners listed on the agricultural data statement. development of this property should be designed so it does not alter existing drainage facilities used by adjacent parcels. If the land is being farmed, the applicant is encouraged to contact the adjacent farmer and the Monroe County Farmland and Agricultural Protection Board to discuss the proposed development. For further information regarding the Monroe County Farmland and Agricultural Protection Board and the Monroe County Agriculture and Farmland Protection Plan, the applicant should contact Bob King, Senior Agricultural Specialist. And those were the comments by the Monroe County
Fine.
Planning and Development Board. Should I read the rest of them? Or just refer to them?
I would just refer to them. I typically have a condition that the applicant shall
Okay.
comply with any conditions of, I try to, reference that letter in the table letter, it doesn't
Yep.
pick up anything.
All right. So I also have the letter from the Board of Fire Commissioners, lot line adjustment. After review of the above application, the Board of Fire Commissioners has no issues with the plan as written. I think this, I know we did read this one from the Conservation Board because this is the one where they had the number was incorrect and we did clarify that.
Okay.
And we also corrected the EAF form,
Right.
the discrepancy on that. Our comment period ended April 30th. But is there any other comments on this?
April 3rd.
April 3rd.
Sure.
April 3rd.
Hey, I still have.
Back to the
two- I have 2024 in there, so.
Sorry. I'm ending April before sorry. All right. Since there are no more comments. Yes,
Questions of, you guys should talk, if there's any comments or questions.
I did ask that.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't notice.
I did that. I didn't get anybody jumping up and saying it.
No,
None.
No.
Not this time.
Okay. So, technically, our public hearing is closed.
public hearing is already closed, yes.
Okay. So, based on that, we can move to the resolution. So I don't believe we have any other additional conditions that we want to put on there other than the Monroe County development.
And that should be number 4 here.
I see
although
that.
It should say March 27, 20.
Right, it's okay. I might redo that year over again. Resolution for subdivision and site plan approval, whereas the planning board of the town of Rush, the planning board has examined application 2025 3P for the Hughes Telephone Road subdivision and site plan approval submitted by Costitch Engineering on behalf of Nancy Hughes, the applicant, the owner of those parcels of real property located at 1215, 1221, and 1225 Telephone Road, Rush 14472, tax map number.
That's the wrong. Should be 14543.
Oh,
That's
yes,
not even false, I
That-
think.
yes,
14573.
it should be 14543, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry to interrupt.
Sir.
No, that's a
Thank-
good catch. I guess I was thinking sometimes I see Henrietta and Reporter. Tax map number 20103-111.1, 201.03-1-11.2, and 201.03-1-11.3. Collectively, the property, the applicant is requesting the adjustment of the lot lines for the property to increase the lot size of lot 3 by 0.847 acres and reduce the size of lot 2 by 0.13 and lot 1 by 0.709 acres. The proposed subdivision, no new construction is contemplated on the property. And whereas the planning board has examined the documents, maps, and other materials filed with the application, including the environmental assessment form, and all having reviewed the proposed subdivision map, site plan, environmental reports, comments, and reports from town professional staff, the public, and other interested and involved agencies associated with the application, including Monroe County Planning and Development. And whereas whereas a public hearing on the application was held on March 25th, 2025, and continued until April 3rd, 2025 for receipt of written comments, and notice was posted as required by law. And whereas all persons at the hearing desiring to speak on the matter were heard, all correspondence on the matter was read, and all comments and statements that were received during the public hearing and or at other duly held meetings of the planning board were considered by the planning board. And now therefore it be resolved that the planning board has determined that it is the most appropriate agency for making the determination of significance thereon under seeker, and is therefore the appropriate lead agency to conduct an environmental review of the action. The planning board determines that this is a type 2 action and under seeker, requiring no further action or a determination of significance by the planning board. It is further resolved that in accordance with the requirements of New York Town Law in chapters 100-27 and 120-69B of the Code of the Town of Rush, the planning board grants final approval of the proposed re-subdivision and site plan subject to the following conditions. The applicant shall meet all requirements of the town engineer as indicated in the engineer's letter dated March 17th, 2025. The applicant shall obtain approval signatures of the town engineer and the Rush Planning Board chairperson prior to filing with the Monroe County Clerk's Office. The applicant shall obtain all other necessary local, state, and federal permits and approvals required for the project. The applicant shall meet all the applicable conditions in the Monroe County Development of Planning, Monroe County Department of Planning and Development letter dated March 27th, 2025. I have a motion to approve the resolution for subdivision and site plan approval.
I'll have a motion to approve the resolution.
Second that.
All right, Member Moise.
Aye.
Deputy Chairman Nast.
Aye.
Member Wolcott.
Aye.
Member Wisnowski.
Aye.
And Chairperson Brown.
Aye. So the resolution has been passed for the lot line adjustment. All right.
Sorry.
Hey, Marjorie, would you read the public hearing notice for 2025-4P Kirk's Bight site plan application,
Okay.
375 Stony Brook Road?
Notice is hereby given that pursuant to the provisions of the Town of Rush and 274A and 274B of the town law, a public hearing will be held by the hold on, I'm sorry. Okay, here we go. By the Planning Board of the Town of Rush at the Rush Town Hall, 5977 East Henrietta Road, Rush, New York, 14543 on April 22nd, 2025 at 7 p.m. to hear all persons interested in the following applications. Application number 2025-4P by Kirk's Bight for a site plan application to build a single-family home. The parcel is located at 375 Stony Brook Road in Rush, New York, with a tax parcel ID number of 220.10-1-15.11 and is zoned residential.
I'm Chris Schultz. I'm here representing the application and Mike is here also. This is an unusual project and that was brought before the board on this year ago. And then Paul, we did previously had comments from Monroe County Planning. And then again, we had recent comments provided which mimic the original comment. And those comments are a little bit of nature, pretty similar to what you read on the last couple of applications, and I would say that I'm more than happy to abide by any conditions of those comments by Monroe County Planning. If you don't have to read all that again.
Thank you.
Okay, and next thing is, we did have a review done by the town engineer last fall, and I had an opportunity to go through and address each comment and correspond with the town engineer, and I think he is satisfied at this point.
Yep.
We've also submitted plans to the Monroe County Health Department. They've reviewed the plans and they are currently in position to sign the plans once we have the preliminary and secret. Most recently, we had comments that were provided by the fire commission, and that consisted of basically addressing how we're going to turn around the fire trucks when we get up to the new house. And what's been provided is a circular turnaround to the specifications necessary to allow the fire truck to negotiate. We also have prior to the creek, widening on the driveway bypass that's often provided so that you have a long driveways, you have one car coming up and you're coming down, you have a way to let it bypass. That also helps with fire. Other than that, I think we have looked at each and every comment that was provided by county agencies. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, so we do have one additional. I'm gonna defer to our town engineer, and I don't know whether Marjorie, had they gotten this?
I don't know, Matt, you just sent it today, correct?
Yeah.
Okay,
So the only thing is, it is in the town code that's recommended that, the board essentially, transfer engagements and the town code, it's just, it doesn't have a present. Drainage easements be provided and then natural drainage served over, so that's something that is, somewhat common with the local applications that condition upon, drainage easements being implemented. That was in our original comment letter. I believe your response said that you're amenable to that. If it's conditioned by the board. The only other thing is the federal wetlands that are located on the site. There is the driveway does go in between, kind of splits the difference between the wetlands. There is a culvert underneath the driveway that's connecting those, but I believe it's to be widened.
Yeah, the culvert that's in there now is undersized from the standpoint of it's a farm lane, and during a really intense storm event, there's a chance that that driveway could have been overpassed. So the drainage helps upsize the culvert and obviously put enough fill above it so that the culvert's not going to move and make it a safe access. But yes, that's correct.
And my only recommendation would be that, although it's understood that there's no direct impacts to the federally regulated wetlands, that the Army Corps be given an opportunity to review them and just ensure that they're comfortable with the culvert, sizing of the culvert that's being installed.
Yes, we work with Army Corps regularly on applications. I'd be more than happy to submit it.
If they look at it, in a letter saying, yeah, we're good with this, I've seen instances where, they do have a comment relative to the culvert design, et cetera. So,
Right.
A letter from Army Corps just stating as such with that.
Yeah, happy to take care of that.
Okay, so those we'll give you a copy of this letter, but.
Yeah.
But,
Those
Oh,
conditions are
never
fine.
mind.
Yeah.
Happy to take care of this.
Yeah.
You want
Otherwise,
this copy, Chris? Put it in there.
all other comments from our original letter, I think dated back in August before, but
okay. I think it's probably easier. Well, I'll see if anybody here has comments.
I had a couple of questions.
Okay,
I see there are options for wells.
Yeah, currently there's an existing well out by the barn structure, and client has a desire to use that well.
Okay.
Due to its distance to the house, I thought it would be a smart idea to site a backup well Of course, whenever you have a well near a leach, you want to make sure that you have the proper distance, and in this case where it's sited, it's uphill from where it is. So that's just put in as a
Yeah.
convenience, so he would know that if in fact he does need to go to that location, it's cited. Currently, everything on a well has to be tested. I'm under County Health Department, they look for E. coli. They also look for arsenic and lead and all those good things. So again, with the existing well be tested, and apparently it's a great well.
Oh,
And he'd like to use it, but this just gives him the ability to, okay, can't use this one, here's the other site. So I figured it made sense to put the two options on there.
Okay, are there any concerns with the distance traveling uphill? And
It's a bigger pump.
all right, very good.
Yeah.
The other question I had is on utilities. As far as electric, I mean, it's a long ways.
A line underground expense, yes,
Okay, telephone,
all in the same
Cable.
branch shop. Yeah.
so, okay, and assuming propane for the gas.
Yeah, geothermal.
Oh, okay. So you, so, very good. Yeah, and just. I believe everything's been approved, or at least looked at by the Department of Health, it's just unusual that the pit, and the test wells or the test
Yeah,
pits are.
originally they were tested, and the funny thing is, one of the gentlemen that helped us do the soil test was a retiree from the health department. So, when we did look at them, they were a little bit closer to the stream than what they liked, so. Question was, would you like us to go do additional tests? And they looked at it, I said, oh, based on the soils and moving, we'll accept that.
Okay.
So we do have correspondence.
Just-
Those folks. This is an in-ground system, the soils are very good. There wasn't any concern with the health department. But we did run that.
You're
down
not
to make
in
sure.
upland wetland, that's,
No.
okay. Very good.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. That's all I have.
Steve, anything?
No comments.
Matt?
I just like what Matt had suggested about checking for the natural wetland that goes through there. That's all good, but I'm good.
Are there any other comments? Questions? Okay. And then the other things I also have our response from the Town of Rush Conservation Board, for their resolution number 12/2025. Kirk's site plan application, motion of Deputy Chairwoman Liederman, second by Member Wilbur. The following resolution was approved, ayes 5. Resolved, the application was reviewed by the board and they approved the project with the following questions, comments. We recommend that the applicant use well location option number 2 for the well, as option number 1 is near the horse pasture. Bacteria could adversely affect neighboring water supplies, groundwater, etc. I'm sure you'll,
How deep?
Yeah, yeah.
How
We
deep?
had a good conversation.
How deep is the
Ryan
well?
was very happy with the well. It had great water, works, for the hand.
so I'm sure the Department of Health would,
Yes, they have to go and
correct.
invest in, yes.
So that'll answer. You go with option 1.
Yep.
We have this from I believe this is the one you've seen, or we've had, you got information regarding this. This is from the Town of Rush Fire Marshal. They've reviewed the planning board application for 2025 4P for 375 Stony Brook Road. The project must comply with section 511 of the Fire Code of the New York State Emergency Vehicle Access, a copy of which is attached to this letter. I don't have it.
Yeah, it was on the original,
Okay.
but I believe we gave her a copy of it when he was here.
And it says also will not mandated by code. I would respectfully request the applicant to consider the installation of a residential sprinkler system. So that's a recommendation. And were you gonna, because these aren't updated with that. Or can you show that your turnaround is big enough for their?
We did update. the plan.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
This is
it
updated.
is on the derivation table, the new plan.
Okay,
Yeah, I
thank
didn't
you.
have them reprint.
Okay, thank you, because I still.
But
haven't-
yes, he did have the, it was 25
inside,
interior,
45
yep.
Outside radius.
Yes.
Standard turnaround. fire trucks.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. So based on that, there are no other comments. All good? I have a motion to close the public hearing.
I move to close the public hearing. One second.
All right. Member Moise?
Aye.
Deputy Chairman Ast?
Aye.
Member Wolcott?
Aye.
Member Wisnowski?
Aye.
And Chairperson Brown?
Aye. So Kevin, I guess under the conditions,
I made a minor modification, number 4, to
Okay.
reflect the fact that we had the engineer's letter dated August 20th, 2024, and supplemental letter dated August 16th,
thank you.
2025. In,
April 6th,
sorry,
you said August 16th?
April 16th, sorry, it was
Okay.
August 20th, 2024, April 16th, 2025.
Very good.
And in number 5, the reference to the Monroe County Department of Planning and Development letter, it should be April 21st, 2025 now. And then there, in number 6 is the condition regarding filing the drainage easement. Prior to the issues of the building permit, and then I would propose condition number 7 being prior to issuance of building permit, the applicant provide evidence from the Army Corps of Engineers approving the proposed expansion of the drainage culvert located on the property. Or something to that effect, if you want to word it differently.
Okay. Army Corps Engineers letter confirming installation of proposed culvert.
It'd be an email exchange. I send it out to the guy I know at the court and say, if you have any concerns,
That's fine.
and then I'll forward it.
That's why typically instead of letter, I say evidence, just because if it's an email.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
okay.
if you want a letter, you guess.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I'll say written evidence.
Written evidence, that's,
Yeah,
that's,
email, fine.
I'm old. I'm still using the word letter.
Works.
I'm sorry, my letter.
Still
Oh,
Sorry.
that's okay.
I still think the word letter.
Sure.
Maybe not anyway.
I guess.
I'm right by.
All right, so I think at this, I'm ready to just help me on the last couple.
You got it.
Thank you. This is resolution for site plan approval, whereas the planning board of the town of Rush, the planning board has examined application 2025 4P for site plan approval submitted by Schultz Associates Engineers and Land Surveyors PC on behalf of Kirk Spite, the applicant, the owner of the real property located at 375 Stony Brook Road, Rush 14543, tax map number 220-010-01-015.11, the property. And whereas the planning board has examined the application maps and other materials filed with the application, including the current site plan, environmental plans and reports, comments, and reports from town professional staff, the public and other interested and involved agencies associated with the application. And whereas the A public hearing on the application was held on April 22nd, 2025, and notice was posted as required by law. And whereas all persons at the hearing desiring to speak on the matter were heard, all correspondence on the matter was read, and all comments and statements that were received during the public hearing and or at other duly held meetings of the planning board were considered by the planning board. And now therefore be it resolved that the planning board has determined that it is the most appropriate agency for making the determination of significance thereon under seeker, and is therefore the appropriate lead agency to conduct an environmental review of the action. The planning board determines that this is a type 2 action under seeker, requiring no further action or a determination of significance by the planning board. It is further resolved that upon consideration by the planning board of the factors set forth under section 120-69B of the town zoning law, the planning board grants final approval of the proposed site plan for the location of a single-family residence on the property, subject to the following conditions. 1, no work is to commence until the applicant obtains a building permit from the town of Rush. 2, the applicant must meet all applicable town building, construction, and fire prevention requirements. 3, the applicant shall obtain all other necessary local, state, and federal permits and approvals required for the project. 4, the applicant shall meet all the requirements of the town engineer as indicated in the town engineer's letter dated August 20, 2024, and April 6 supplemental letter dated April 16th, 2025. The applicant shall meet all the applicable conditions in Monroe County Development of Planning and Department of Planning and Development letter dated April 21st, 2025. Prior to issuance of the building permit, the applicant shall provide evidence that the drainage easement in favor of the town has been filed in the Monroe County Clerk's office.
And prior to the issuance of the building permit, the applicant should provide written evidence from the Army Corps of Engineer proving the installation of a drainage easement, drainage culvert located.
Thank you. Do I have a motion for approval of the resolution for site plan approval?
I'll second.
Okay. Member Moise?
Aye.
Deputy Chairman Ast?
Aye.
Member Wolcott?
Aye.
Member Wisnowski?
Aye.
And Chairperson Brown.
Aye.
Thank you. Quick question on the drainage, what width do you normally take? Drainage. That's wider for bigger creeks.
I don't,
Just get. My knowledge is that it just gives you access,
Yeah.
doesn't give a specific width. Cause it varies
Well,
on
it-
whatever it is.
There is a dimension in there. It's typically 20 feet on side.
that's,
20 foot wide access.
But I thought there was something in there, I have to go, and I talked about embankments, but.
Yeah. 20 foot on center sounds correct. I think that's in my, which I'll get you a copy of that.
Yeah, I just want to make sure, and then I know that with the easement, the town has the right to get to the easement by whatever's convenient, driveway or coming in the far end, the creek is at. Stony Brook, they have it that way, if they ever need to do it.
Right, yeah, 20 feet on center, yeah. 40 feet.
You do have it in on
Right,
number
right.
1,
Yeah.
that it is, the easement should be located 20 feet beyond the existing top of each street bank.
There we go.
And you can have this copy, Chris, if you want it.
Yeah.
In that way,
Okay.
and then I'll get over the resolution.
We can show that on the site about that. Thank you.
thank you.
Chris? But I'll just.
Congratulations.
That. That's me. Right. Get a 10% grade on it. It's mountain.
Now, we have 3 items that are under, new business. One is 2025-5P subdivision lot alteration, which is pretty basic. It's just taking 2 smaller lots and combining into one larger one larger lot.
So how
Um,
many people have actually been on that?
I've been by it. Does it
I've
have?
been by it. I haven't been on
I had
it.
a friend looking at the property on top,
Okay,
so.
Yeah,
yeah, there's a lot of,
But-
it's vacant. There's a lot up there
Yeah.
vacant, right? And the houses, are they only on one side of the road?
no, there's both sides.
Oh, they are.
Well, you go up to the top and to the left of the Hammerhead, turn around. There's one on the left up in the corner. You don't
Oh,
see from down below.
Hmm.
And then the Jacobs house is under it. I did the road and the lot, so I know.
You not know.
So then Pelzer's house was up there on the right and they sold that. One
Now,
that,
now I'm gonna go out there and drive on it so I can see what this, is that hammerhead big enough to turn around?
Oh, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
full size snowplow.
Fuck knew no different.
We actually turned that house around on the left.
Did you really?
Yeah, because when we first went there, that was, I have to get off subject, but it was like, you couldn't, the garage was on the backside and it dropped off. And we ought to mirror this house. And they're like, oh, that's really a good idea. So we ended up mirroring the plans of the house to make it work.
Very good.
Oh, not physically moving the house.
No. Before we dug it. Basement.
Did you get that approved before you get the building permit? Just asking.
Chuck Salvaggio was developed, you told me, but.
Anyways, the next one is 2025-6P and except for Chuck, this has been before the board, in part, but this is for them doing their, green parking, which we had them split out. So that, and no, they did not need a variance for that. Because the way the code is written, they can use or other materials, I believe it
Yes.
falls under.
Yes,
And it meets,
That's per
the
job.
big thing was, is it met fire department, driveway weight
yeah,
requirement.
the biggest truck you can get out there.
And then the last one is for 2025 7P. Horse Nature Trails Special Permit, and this is for Luke Horst for a special permit to so that I guess it's gonna be
Club.
a club, yeah, and not for profit. He got his not for profit
Certificate.
certificate, so he's gone through the process to being a legitimate and so then what we'll be doing is looking at the special permit application and then after that, at some point, he does want to put a building on there, but he'll have to come in with a full site plan application for the actual building that he'll do.
So this survey, the barn survey, it's on the derivation table, it's just for illustrative.
It's just for illustrative, so,
Yes.
so what you won't see is a lot of detail, just general for this special permit.
Yep, he has been advised that he will need an engineer, yep, or surveyor
Right. For,
to actually professional drawing, yes.
for
he
the
does.
site
For
plan.
that.
Yes,
Yes.
correct.
Yeah, no, that drawing was, this is just for his special permit
Yeah.
Yeah.
for the use of the property. So that's what's on our agenda for next month. So. Are there any other discussions that need to come before the board?
I did have a question on the gas station,
Okay,
West Henrietta Road. So that sign is, that they put up there, is my understanding, there's also a sign on the building. When, just want to clarify, you know, I asked a question at when we approved the project, whether they're gonna come back for sign approval.
Mm.
And I have not seen that. So I'm assuming that was that something that they got approved through their permit? Or is it,
That may have been, I know John has, both John and Rick Tracy, the code enforcement officer, have been up there, so I'm assuming that was something that they looked at, but I could find out.
I'm assuming that's something that should come before us.
Yeah. Yes, probably. Probably should have.
Oh, but
Let me make a note.
John.
I'll check,
Okay.
I'll talk with John too tomorrow.
I have no issue with what they put up, is
Right.
the,
But if they
the
were
sign, the
supposed
sign
to-
on top of the building is inconspicuous,
Yeah,
it just replaces tough trucks. And
okay.
then, the gas station pricing sign out front is not obtrusive, it's not huge, it's kind of a standard thing. But I'm just saying, that I noticed,
Procedurally, they should,
Procedurally, yeah. They should
as
have
would be
done
the
it.
ones to say, yes, that looks good before it goes
Yeah.
on.
Yeah,
So the DOT had to approve all that too, right? That intersection.
No,
Right? No.
no, it's not in the right of.
not in, if it's off the
Right.
right of way. They would have us say if it was in the right of way.
Yeah,
They'd be saying,
or couldn't see. but-
yes.
well, they would be telling them that it couldn't be in the right place.
And Carl, I just wanted to let you know that we were able to get a copy of the comprehensive plan. It is located right up here by the code book. And we can use it before, or after meetings. We just
Okay.
cannot take it out of the office. So that was from, from the town clerk and
Okay.
the town supervisor. So because we have the code book here as well, we do not have extra copies. The members that did put the comprehensive plan together all had one. I don't know if they were contacted to get that back or if that was their complimentary copy. So we really only have just like a few in this office, but that was actually John Lindbeck's. And so he went ahead and gave it to us to put in there. So I hope that will suffice.
I would ask,
I know,
it will,
I know.
it will be okay.
Any other questions? Can I someone make a motion to,
I'll make a
Or-
motion to adjourn the meeting.
All right,
I'll second that.
second, okay. All right, member
you.
Boyce. Deputy Chairman Ask.
Aye.
Member Wolcott.
Aye.
Member Wisnowski. Chairperson Brown.
aye.
What happened with the dumpster garbage disposal issue?